Good morning, dear students. In the previous class, we have studied about balanced diet and the common cooking mistakes what we do, which results in the removal of nutrients. In today's class, we shall study about the effects of the lack of nutrients in our body. Before that, let us conduct few tests to check the presence of some of the nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. As you know, food item contains different nutrients, but a food item will not contain all the nutrients. So let's see how to perform these tests.
Test food for starch. Let us start our experiment to test the presence of starch in food. Take a small quantity of rice in a petri dish. Make a fine paste of the rice using water. Put the paste in a test tube. Add a few drops of iodine solution with the help of a dropper. What do you observe? The sample turns blue-black, which confirms the presence of starch in rice. Note: whenever starch reacts with iodine solution, it turns blue-black. Test food for protein. Let us start our experiment to test the presence of protein in our food. Take a small quantity of mashed beans in a petri dish. Put it in a test tube and add some water. Add a few drops of copper sulfate solution to it with the help of a dropper. Then add a few drops of sodium hydroxide solution. What do you observe? The sample turns purple, which confirms the presence of protein in the food sample. Note: whenever protein reacts with copper sulfate and sodium hydroxide solution, it turns purple. Test food for fat. Let us start our experiment to test the presence of fat in food. Take a small quantity of dry fruits, such as cashew nuts or almonds, in a petri dish. Rub it on a clean white paper. You will observe oily patches on the paper. Hold the paper against the light to see the oily and translucent patch clearly. The fat present in the food sample is what makes the paper oily and translucent.
So these tests will show you the presence of carbohydrates or your starch, proteins and fats, but not for vitamins and minerals. Not only that, a food item can contain more than one nutrient, but not all the nutrient. So, though the person may be getting enough of food, but sometimes the food whatever he is eating will lack in a particular kind of nutrient. So let us learn that through this topic, that is your deficiency disease. So what is this deficiency disease? As I said, though a person may be getting the sufficient amount of food, or maybe sometimes there is less content of food, so whatever food he or she is eating may not contain all the nutrients in it. So that results in a disease called deficiency disease. So this is a kind of disease that occur due to lack of nutrient over a long period of time in our body, which results in the deficiency. Not only deficiency may result in the diseases, also overnourishment of one particular nutrient can also result in a kind of disease. For example, a person intaking a continuous amount of foods which are rich in fat, for example like your junk food, so which will contain high amount of fat in it, and other nutrient will be very less or nil. So the person consuming this food for a longer duration finally results in a kind of disease called as obesity, where the excess of fat deposition occurs in the body. So here there's a one condition of disease which results in lack of food. There is another condition of disease which results in excess amount of nutrient in our body. So that is the one which occurs due to lack of food, that is the deficiency. Due to deficiency you call it as undernourished, and due to excess of nutrient, the nutrient like fat, which results in obesity, that is due to overnourished. Now let us see the disease which occur due to deficiency of nutrient in our body for a long period of time, that is undernourishment of the body. So under deficiency disease, the first type of nutrient you're going to study is about carbohydrate. So what happens if a body has less content of carbohydrate, or the body lacks the nutrient like carbohydrate? So that time usually you will have the symptoms like where you feel very tired very frequently, the person becomes very inactive, or he or she may look very lean and thin, and they may not be able to move properly, which is due to the deficiency of the nutrient called carbohydrate. Now what about protein? If there is deficiency of protein in our body, you know protein is a bodybuilding food, so that results in stunted growth. The person cannot grow properly or in a normal size, and the face tend to show the swelling, the colors show discolorations, etc. These deficiency diseases are caused due to lack of your vitamin and mineral in our body. So when there is less amount of vitamin A in your body, it results in loss of vision. So the symptoms can be like the person may not be able to see so clearly, there is poor vision, and sometimes there is night blindness in case of the person, as they have less content of vitamin A in the body. Next is vitamin B. So when there is less amount or quantity of vitamin B in the body, there results a disease called as beriberi, where they have very weak muscles and very little energy to work. Since the muscles are very weak, they can't move properly, because the muscles are the one which help us in the movement, so they feel very weak to move. The next vitamin is vitamin C. So when there is deficiency of vitamin C, so it results in a disease called as scurvy. So this scurvy, usually what happens, it results in bleeding of gums. So very frequently whatever you eat, or so you tend to find bleeding in the gum, and when you get hurt, the wound whichever is formed will take longer time to heal, because the body is having very less amount of vitamin C. You know vitamin C is very much required for our immune system. The next type of vitamin is vitamin D. So deficiency of vitamin D in our body for a longer duration results in a kind of disease called as rickets. So since it is vitamin D, it is going to affect your bones, where the bones become very soft and bent. Next, moving on to deficiency in case of minerals, that is your calcium. So in case of deficiency of calcium, again it is going to affect your bones and teeth. teeth where you have very weak bones, and it also leads to tooth decay very quickly as our teeth are very weak because of deficiency of calcium. The next type of mineral is iodine. In case of iodine deficiency, it results in a disease called as goiter, where you can notice a swollen neck which is affecting your thyroid gland, and also it may disturb the mental ability in case of the growing children. And the next type of mineral is iron. So the deficiency of iron results in a disease called as anemia, where the content of your red blood cells will reduce, I've already shown in the previous slides, and the persons may become very weak. Henceforth, it is very necessary to follow a balanced diet, as each and every nutrient in our body is playing a very vital role, and consumption of this nutrient is very important in our balanced diet. With this, we'll be completing our chapter component of food, and we have in this chapter we have learned about the major kind of nutrient, the minor kind of nutrient, and the importance and functions of all this nutrient in our body. We have also studied about overnourishment and what the kind of disease is caused due to overnourishment, that is obesity, and we have also studied about undernourishment. So under undernourishment you have different kinds of deficiency diseases. Thank you.